Greetings everyone. We'll continue our discussion on object-oriented programming through C++. In the previous sessions, we have started about operator overloading, and I also told you about what is operator overloading and how to perform unary operator overloading. In this current session, we will be looking at the binary operator overloading. In the last session, I have introduced you to the operator overloading of binary operators, and you must remember that any operator which operate on two operands will be calling them as binary operators, and while overloading the binary operators we will be passing explicit argument in the operator function. Okay, you have to pass one argument in the operator function. You must remember that while overloading your unary operators you will not be passing any explicit argument, but while overloading binary operator you have to pass one argument in the operator function. So this operator is usually one of the operand which you are going to use in your operation. For example, if you are using in addition operation, that is you have to add two objects in your particular addition. While adding two objects, you will be having object 1 and object 2. So while operating on those object addition, you have to pass one of the object as one argument in your operator function. So how you are going to pass this argument and how you are going to pass the object as an argument in your particular operator function, and how you are going to perform all this operator overloading for your binary operators, we are going to look at this in this session. So first we will be looking at how you are going to perform this particular operator overloading in binary operators. So in the previous session itself I have introduced you to this program of addition of two complex numbers and subtraction of two complex numbers. As you can see, you will be having a program regarding this one. Initially, you will be having your IO stream and namespace. After that, I have written the complex class. Inside the complex class, I have declared two variables, that is real and imaginary variables. Okay, so a very complex number will be having these two variables. One is real and one is imaginary. And inside the public, you have declared one function, that is get value function. This get value function or get value method is basically used to retrieve values for your particular object, or it is used to input values for your complex number. That is, if you take one complex object, you have to get the imaginary value and real value for that complex object. So this get value method will be helpful for you to input this particular real value and imaginary value for your complex number. So that get value method, inside the get value method you are having C in real and C in imaginary. So the C in real and C in imaginary will help you to retrieve or get input of your particular real and imaginary values for your complex number. So you are going to use this method for inputting your values. Next we have written the complex operator, that is overloading operator function for your addition and subtraction of your particular things. That is, you have written complex first, that is complex implies that you are going to return one complex object. After that you have specified the operator keyword which has to be used in your operator overloading. After that I have specified the plus symbol. Plus symbol specifies that it is a operator overloading of your addition operator. Inside that you have as you can see, you have specified one explicit argument, that is complex object. So what you are going to basically do is you are going to pass one of the object as your particular argument. So as you can see, inside the function you have written complex temp. So inside that particular thing, as you could see, complex temp is used to create one temporary object of your complex number. So inside that you have written temp.real is equal to real plus object.real. So temp.real, so you are trying to store the result of your addition operation in the temporary object, and the first part, that is real plus object.real. Real specifies that the real number of your first object. Object.real specifies the second number of your particular addition operation. So basically what you have to understand is the first part of your addition is whatever the object with which you are calling the particular function, and object.real is the particular thing which you are using to call the second operand. So I think you can understand. So object.real is one you are going to pass in explicitly in your particular argument. So second part is your real. So you are going to perform addition of two objects here. So while performing the addition of two objects, I will be writing something like this, C1 plus C2. Okay, if I write something like this. Okay, so if I write C1 plus C2, sorry, if you are having two complex numbers C1 and C2, so C1 you are going to pass C1 and C2, and while performing this operator addition, you are going to pass C2 as your argument. Okay, you are going to pass C2 as your argument. So when I pass the C2 as the argument, this particular C2 will go into your obj, as you could see in your particular complex object. Okay, as you could see complex object, this particular C2 object will go as operand or parameter in your operator function, and the first one C1 will act as the initial or second operand. So C1 will act as the first operand and C2 will act as the second operand. The C2 will be passed as your argument in your operator function. So when I write real plus object.real, real means it will take this real number, that is C1's real number, and object.real means it will take the C2's real number. Okay, it will combine these two real numbers, that is it will add the two real numbers of C1 and C2 and store it in the temporary object. Okay, temporary is real. Okay, in the same manner you are going to take C2's imaginary and C1's imaginary and going to add these two's imaginary and store it in temporary's imaginary, and you are going to return that particular temporary object. As you could see, you are going to return the temporary object. So why you are going to return the temporary object means, why? Because as you could see, you have written complex operator. So since you have specified the return type as a complex object, you have to return one complex object. So here the complex object is your temporary object. So you are going to return the temporary object which will be used in the remaining part of the program. So this is the operator overloading of your addition operation. Okay, in a similar sense you have added the subtraction operation as well. So this is the operator overloading for your subtraction operation. As you could see, you have specified the complex. Complex means it is also going to return one complex number. After that you have specified the operator. So then you have specified the minus sign. Minus sign means you are going to overload the subtraction operation. So since you have specified the argument, that is complex object, since you have specified the argument in your particular operator function, you can be sure that this is an subtraction operation. I think in the overloading of your unary operators, I told you if you don't specify the particular argument in the operator function, you can think it as unary minus. Since you have specified your particular argument in the operator function, you can be sure that this is a subtraction operation, not the unary minus which you have seen in your unary operators. So this particular thing will implement or overload your subtraction operation. As you could see, in a similar sense like your addition operation, you have created one complex temporary, that is you have created one temporary objects, then you have subtracted the real numbers, that is temp.real is equals to real minus object.real, that is temp.real will be, that is your temporary object, next C1 real minus C2's real. Okay, in the similar manner you have written there real minus object.real. In the similar manner, imaginary, temp.imaginary is equal to imaginary minus, okay, object.imaginary, where your object will be referring your C2 object, and particular first thing, that is real, will imply your first C1 object. Okay, we'll have a better clarification how this particular thing will work after you look at this operator in the latter part of this session. Okay, for the time being you understand that you are trying to add two complex objects and you are going to subtract two complex objects. When I write real minus object.real, I am going to say that C1's real number minus, okay, C2's real number. Like that you have to apply your particular overloading of your addition operation and subtraction operation. We'll continue about this particular program. So far in your particular class you can look at that you are having three methods so far. The first method is get values method, where you are going to input your imaginary and real values for your particular complex numbers. Next, you have written two overloading functions which overloads your addition operation and subtraction operation. Next, so this is the fourth method you have written in your particular class. Okay, in the particular class you have written the display method, which displays whatever the particular complex number you are trying to print. Okay, it will print like this, real plus imaginary I, as I have told already in your previous class. Okay, you will print real plus, you will write imaginary, after that you will print it as I. So in this manner you are going to print all your complex numbers in your particular output. So your display method will display your particular complex number in this format. Your get values method will take the input of your complex number, and you have written two more methods for your addition operation and subtraction operation, which will work on your objects. This is the class you have written for your overloading of binary operators. For this class you have to implement your main method. Okay, so this is your main method, where you have written, first you have declared four complex numbers, that is complex objects on complex C1, C2, C3 and C4. You have declared four complex objects. So as you could see, you have taken the first thing, that is C1 dot get value and C2 dot get value. As I told you, the get value method will be used to take the input of your complex number values, that is you are going to take the inputs of your real and imaginary values of your complex number. So when I write C1 dot get value, I am going to take the input of C1's imaginary value and C1's real value. In the similar sense, I am going to take the C2's imaginary value and C2's real value. So those two are taken as input. Okay. After that, I have performed two operations, that is I have written C3 is equal to C1 plus C2. So when I write C3 is equal to C1 plus C2, so as you could see, C1 plus C2 means you are going to add two complex numbers. Okay, that is where your operator overloading of your addition operation will come into place. Okay, so when I write the C1 plus C2, this will call your operator overloading function, which will add the C1's imaginary value and C2's imaginary value, then C1's real value and C2's real value. Store those results in your temporary object. Okay, when I write return temp, okay, that temporary object values will return to this particular C3's place. Okay, it will go into the C3 object. Okay, now your addition of two complex numbers, that is C1 and C2, the result will be stored in C3. In the similar manner, you are going to perform C4, which is equal to C1 minus C2, so which will call your operator overloading of your subtraction operation, which will subtract your complex number C1 and C2, okay, and store the result in your temp. The particular temp returns your particular result into C4. Now C4 will contain the subtraction result of your C1 and C2. Okay, as you could see, you are performing addition of two complex numbers and subtraction of two complex numbers. Okay, after that you have displayed those results, that is C3 dot display means C3 contains the addition of the two complex numbers and C4 will contain the subtraction of two complex numbers. So those two results will be stored in C3 and C4. So we are displaying the results by using display method, which displays your particular complex number by using real plus imaginary I. Okay, it will be displayed in that particular format. So this is the complete program for overloading your binary operators, both addition and subtraction. Okay, I mixed up both the particular things. You can write the program separately for addition and subtraction as well. Okay, but you can write any number of operator overloadings in your particular single class. That is, I can have any number of like the C1 plus C2 minus C3. Like this, you can perform any number of object addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You can overload any number of binary operators in a single program as well. Okay, I can have something like this, C4 is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3, where the result will come back to you in proper addition and subtraction manner. Okay, this is how you can overload your particular binary operators. Okay, so for this particular program, if you see the result, so first you have sent as you can see, you have first performed C1 dot get value. So there you will be entering the first real number for your C1 and imaginary number for your C1. Next you have performed C2 dot get value, where you will be getting the input of your C2. So where you will be getting the real value of your C2 and imaginary value of your C2. Okay, after that you have performed the addition of the two complex numbers and subtraction of two complex numbers. The result is your 5 plus 7i, that is the C3, that is addition of two complex numbers, minus 1 minus I, this is your subtraction of the two complex numbers. This is how your particular overloading of binary operator will work. Regarding the overloading of binary operators and overloading of unary operators, you can use one function or pointer called as this pointer. So you are going to look at this pointer next. So this pointer is one method which you could use to implement some specific things. As you could see, this pointer will be used when you want to retrieve objects particular value. Okay, so you can better understand this pointer when you look at the example properly. So initially you have written your two statements, IOStream and namespace. After that, if you see, you can look at the class later. If you go for your main, you can see first I have created one object, that is text object. Okay, we have written class test here. For that you have created one object. After that I have created one variable x, int x is equals to 20. Okay, I have initialized my x value to 20. After that I have set, that is object set x, that is I have called the set x function which is present here in your particular test, where you are going to set value, okay, by passing the x value, that is I am going to pass the 20 value. Okay, as you can understand, this x is local to this main function. Okay, whatever you have declared, that x is declared in the main function, so the x is local to the main function. When I pass the particular function, that is object.set x of x, okay, what I am passing? I am passing the 20 value into this particular function. Okay, so as you could see, there is already one x declared in your particular class test. Okay, so this is where your confusion will occur. Okay, usually this operator is used, okay, when your local variable is same as your member name. Okay, when your local variable, whatever you have used here, the local variable is same as your member name. To avoid the confusion, you are using one x in your set x. Okay, that is your local variable, that is x is your local variable. This x local variable which is local to this particular function, and this x is same as the private x. Okay, when you write a local variable same as your, what you can call it as the member variable, then you can use your particular this function or this operator to specify which particular x you are trying to use. Okay, when I use this pointer, what it will tell that this particular thing, whatever the x I am trying to use, this should refer the object. Okay, this should refer the object. So to better understand, you could see I am passing object set x of x. X means I am passing 20 value. When I pass the 20 value, it will go to this particular phase where your x will become 20. Okay, where your x will become 20. So remember, when I am calling x here, I am calling about the particular local variable x. Okay, which is local to the set function. Okay, which is local to the set function. Now the particular x value which is present as argument is your x value, that is 20. Okay, sorry, x value that is 20. Okay, so this is local variable. This is local variable. Next, when I return the particular thing, this x, okay, when I write this x, this particular thing signifies this x will belong to the particular object. Okay, this particular x will belong to the object. Basically, this pointer will be used to refer your objects variable. Okay, now your objects variable is this x refers to the object, that is objs x. Okay, it will refer to the objs x. Okay, so this particular x is present here. Okay, now this x also will be made as 20. this x also will be made as 20. Okay, before this particular line, whatever you have written, this x is equal to x, before that particular line, if you have written this x is equals to some 60 value, okay, initially the particular object's x value will be 60. After that, if you write this particular statement, okay, after that if you write this particular statement, now what will happen? So this x refers to your local variable, that is 20 value. Okay, now 20 value will move to your object's x value. So this is how you can use this pointer to point to your particular object's x or your object's particular local variables, object's variables. So you can use this operator to point to your object's data variables or data values. Why you are going to use this is, always remember, when you are having one object, okay, each and every object will be having its own separate data. Okay, each and every object will be having its own separate data. What it means, if you are creating two or more objects, that is, if you are creating object 1, object 2, object 3, okay, each and every object will be having its own x value. Okay, but all the objects will share the same functions. That is, the memory which will be assigned to the particular set function will be same for all the objects. Okay, as you can understand, if you are having x value here, this x value will be having separate memory for your object 1, object 2, object 3. That is, object 1 will be having a separate memory for x, object 2 will be having its own memory for x, and object 3 will be having its own memory for x. But each and every, that is, all the three objects will share the common memory for set x. That is, the methods memory will be same. How many objects you might create, but all the objects will use the same set method. Okay, this is the way this pointer will more specifically be used to specify your particular data objects. Okay, data variables. So object can directly refer your particular data members by using this pointers. So I think you can understand from this particular example how you are going to use this pointer to refer your particular data member of the object. Okay, if I write this x, this refers to the object's x value, and equal to x means that x refers to the local x value. Okay, that is the difference between general data items and objects data items. If I want to refer the general data item, I can directly use the x value here. If I want to refer the particular object's data item, then I have to use this in this particular thing. So to avoid the confusion between, that is, whenever your local name and your object's data name is same, then you will be using this pointer to refer to the object's data name. Okay, this is where this pointer will be used for your particular operator overloading. Next, regarding this operator, how you are going to use this operator in overloading your binary operators. So you'll be having similar program, that is, whatever you have written in the previous parts, you can be having a similar program to overload your binary operators, but you'll be using this operator to avoid the confusion between the general data and your object's data. So as you could see, this is an example which will use this operator. First you see the example. So he initially have written the IO stream, after that you have written the namespace. Next I have created one class box. Okay, so in the class box you are having three data members, one is length, breadth and height. Okay, so length, breadth and height will be used in your particular box class. Next I have created some methods which will be used to set and so you are having some methods. First method is to calculate your volume. As you could see, double get volume is equal to return length into breadth into height, which will calculate your volume of your particular box. Okay, so you are going to return the particular double value which you are going to perform. So whenever I create one box object, I can calculate the volume of the box object by using your get volume. Next I have three methods which will take the input of your particular three data items, that is set length, set breadth and set height. Okay, you are having three methods which will be performing the particular input of your length, breadth and height. As you can understand, length is equal to len means it will take the length value will be taken from your whatever the while creating your object, whenever you pass the particular length value, that will be taken into length. Next, breadth and height. For each and every object you have to set these three values. Okay, length, breadth and height, these are input functions, just like your whatever you have seen in the previous example where you have seen get data. In the similar manner you will be having set values for your particular functions or your particular objects. Next, this is an overloading function for your addition function. Okay, so as you could see, you are having one the return type is box. Okay, I am going to get the result as box. Okay, next I have written the keyword operator. After that I have written the plus sign. Okay, inside that I have passed one constant object with reference objects. Okay, so as you could see, inside your overloaded function, first I have created one temporary object, just like in your previous example. This is a temporary object, that is box is your object. So box dot length, to avoid confusion you can take temporary, that is box temp. So you can write temp dot length is equal to, okay, this length plus b dot length. Okay, in the previous example if you have seen, you should have written something like this. Okay, so you have written box dot length is equals to length plus b dot length. Okay, you have written box dot length is equals to, or more to understand, you have written something like this, temp dot length, where your temp is your temporary object which you are creating for your operator function. Okay, temp dot length is equal to length plus b dot length. Okay, to avoid confusion for your particular objects, okay, you are using this pointer. So this pointer will signify that this particular length refers to the first object what you are trying to do. Okay, this will be whatever you have seen in the addition of complex numbers, you have specified this length refers to your first complex number in your operation. So the b dot length will refer to your second complex number. So here, since you are writing the particular operation for your boxes, this will refer to the first box b1 and second box b2. Okay, when I am trying to add the two things, we can use the particular b1 and b2 to add two box objects. Okay, so in a similar manner, this is just an example to signify why you are going to use this operator. So this operator signifies that this length refers to the first object what you are using in your operator overloading. Okay, so after that you have written return box. This will return your result of your particular length operation, breadth operation and height operation, that is addition of all those three parameters. So next we are returning the result as box thing. So this particular thing is similar to your complex number addition, except that you are using this operator to signify particular object's data. So this is an example. So that is a main function. Previous you have seen the classes. Now you are going to see the main, where you are creating three box objects, box 1, box 2, box 3. After that you have created one volume, that is one variable volume which initialized to 0. After that you have first initialized the box 1 values, that is box 1's length, box 1's breadth and box 1's height. Next I have initialized the box 2's values, box 2 length, box 2's breadth and box 2's height. Okay, so these are set, that is input functions for your both box 1 and box 2. Next, after that you are calculating the volume of your box 1. Okay, so what you have done, box 1 dot get volume, I think you have seen the get volume method, where you are going to calculate the volume of your particular box by multiplying all the three variables, that is length, breadth and height, and you are going to get the volume and you are going to return the volume, which will be stored in this volume data variable here, that is whatever volume variable here, and you are going to print that particular volume. After that you are calculating the volume of the box 2 as well. and you are going to print that volume as well. So next what I have done is I am adding the both box 1 and box 2 object. Okay, so this is where your operator overloading of your addition operator will come into existence, and you are going to add the box 1's length, breadth, height with box 2's length, breadth, height, and you are going to store the result in your box 3. After that, I am calculating the box 3's volume. After the addition, that now the addition will be having the set of values. Okay, box 3 will be having its own length, breadth and height. With that I am calculating the volume. So next I am printing the particular box 3's value. So this is an example where you are using your binary operator, that is addition operator, and you are overloading the particular addition operator, and you are using the particular overloaded operator with objects. So this is how you can overload your binary operators in C++. In a similar manner, you can overload any binary operator you have in your C++ operation. In the next sessions, you will understand how to overload your particular unary and binary operators as friend functions. I will tell you what is a friend function and how to overload the particular operators as friend functions. Apart from that one, I will tell you separately how to overload your assignment operator. And so far you have seen you are overloading the particular functions as member functions only. That is, you are writing your operator overloading function inside the class only. You are not writing the particular operator function in as a friend function. In the next session, I will tell you how to write the particular overloaded function as friend function, and other things regarding overloading your assignment operator, and how you are going to return the particular, and how you can modify the return type of your operator functions. Thank you.